Welcome to today's SeafoodNews.com video, sponsored by the Alaska Seafood Marketing Institute.
Good morning. It's the second day of the Brussels Seafood Show, now called Seafood Expo Global. And today there was supposed to be a transportation strike in Brussels, and there was some fear that it would affect the traffic at the show. That's not what's happened. It's been a pretty busy day, and I think the show organizers are relieved that the subway strike has not had much of an effect. All in all, I think the show has been pretty normal compared to other years. It's not a year when the buyers are very excited about seafood. There's a number of issues, chief among them the fall in the value of the euro and the currency issues. But on the other hand, prices for a number of products such as salmon and shrimp are lower as well. In general, there's not the excitement that we've seen in other years, but sort of the steady slog. Let's make our contracts, let's get our things done with. Here are a couple of highlights that stuck out for me over the first couple of days. First of all, in terms of products, salmon roe from Alaska is facing some sort of difficult market conditions. The reason is, again, the collapse of the markets in Russia and Ukraine. Russia due to a boycott in Ukraine due to the economic inability and the war there. This has left these guys with not many places to take their pink salmon roe and a lot of competition from a high-quality Russian roe in Japan. As far as Alaska and the MSC goes, there's definitely the sense that the rest of the Alaska salmon processors who are going to join back in the MSC will make this a non-issue in the market in Europe for 2015. So far there's been no direct answer from Silver Bay and the client group, but I think it's fair to say most people, including MSC officials, are quite confident that it's going to happen in some fashion that's going to work. The other sustainability issue here is really around issues like labor standards and slavery on fishing vessels. And for example, a seminar talk in Thailand on what the Thailand is doing to combat IUU fishing and labor abuse was very heavily attended by NGOs and also by a lot of retailers. That was the same day that the EU announced that they were giving Thailand a yellow card, as in European football, which gives them a 6-month warning that unless they take concrete steps to deal with IUU fishing, they could be banned from the EU market. Another area where there's been solid progress on sustainability is the Global Seafood Sustainability Initiative. They've launched the second generation of their benchmarking tool, and surprisingly to me, at their official meeting here, there was very few NGOs in the room. It's really clear that the focus of NGO energy has moved on to IUU fishing and labor abuse. For example, WWF is hosting a partner meeting today with a number of retailers and other businesses to determine if they can set up some sort of pre-competitive global audit of labor conditions for fishery products. We're going to hear a lot more about things in this direction, and at the MSC Global Commercial meeting this morning, Rupert Howes said that a number of these things are well beyond the competence or ability of the MSC, and that perhaps companies are going to have to use other certifications for things like labor standards. From the Canadian perspective, we're hearing mixed messages on crab. It looks like there's some Japanese buying that's started, and the Japanese, although reluctant, are paying a significantly higher price in yen this year than last. But the US dollar price is quite a bit lower at around $4.65. Coldwater shrimp, that's a big product here in Europe, in Northern Europe, especially in the UK. There's still quite a market shortage, but there's a lot of fears as to what's going to happen later in the year once supplies kick in. The coldwater shrimp fishery is one that has potential for a little more volatility later in the year. All in all, it's been a very satisfactory seafood show, and I think that it shows the resilience of the industry. Many people here have been through currency swings before. They've been through supply contraction and expansion, and as one salmon seller told me, we really view this as a chance to expand our markets. In Brussels, Belgium, this is John Sapp.
Today's SeafoodNews.com video was brought to you by the Alaska Seafood Marketing Institute. Alaska has been protecting wild and sustainable seafood for generations and adheres to the most recognized and internationally accepted set of guidelines written by the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization. For recipes and additional information, visit wildalaskaflavor.com.